This is called the Spalla Camicia, and to most people in the room it looks like a mistake. It puckers slightly at the front, a small ripple of fabric runs along the cap of the sleeve. If you didn't know better, if you'd spent your career buying suits off racks or ordering from the same made-to-measure house as everyone else in your industry, you would assume the tailor had made an error. The man wearing it just signed an acquisition worth $2 billion. He is wearing a suit that cost more than most people's cars. And the most expensive detail on that suit is the one that appears to almost everyone in the room to be wrong. That detail has a name. The Spalla Camicia, translated literally the shirt shoulder, and it is one of the most misunderstood, most imitated, and least understood signals in the entire world of men's clothing. This is what it means, and why the people who know it are paying $15,000 to wear it. The Spalla Camicia originated in Naples, in the ateliers of southern Italy, where Neapolitan tailors developed a distinctive approach to shoulder construction over the course of more than a century. Many of those workshops trace their origins to the Quartieri Spagnoli, the working-class districts where the craft took root long before it reached the boutiques of the Chiaia. In most high-end suits, the sleeve is attached to the body of the jacket with a structured pad beneath the fabric, a small piece of wadding or felt that creates a clean, seamless line across the top of the shoulder. British tailors raised this method to an art form. Houses like Huntsman and Henry Poole built their reputations on the idea that a shoulder should look architecturally perfect, firm, smooth, projecting quiet military authority. If you look at the shoulder seam of a well-made British suit, the kind that comes out of Savile Row, you will see a line so clean it could have been drawn with a ruler. The Neapolitan school made a different choice. Instead of engineering the shoulder into submission, they attached the sleeve with almost no padding at all, and they set it using a technique that mimics the way a shirt sleeve sits against the body. The fabric is gathered and eased into the seam by hand, producing a deliberate, controlled ripple along the cap of the sleeve. Neapolitan tailors call these ripples the ripecchi. That word alone tells you something. This technique is so specific to the tradition that it required its own name and dialect. For more formal context, Neapolitan tailors use a different construction entirely, the con rollino, a slight padding roll that creates a cleaner line while maintaining the softness of the overall construction. The Spalla Camicia is the more radical statement. The con rollino is the concession to occasion. It takes a master tailor several hours to execute the Spalla Camicia correctly. It cannot be replicated by machine. Any factory attempt to produce it produces a sloppiness that trained eyes spot immediately. The genuine article has a specific character to its ripecchie, a tension and rhythm that only emerges from decades of practiced handwork. This is not an accident, it is not a flaw. It is one of the most technically demanding details in the history of menswear. This is sprezzatura made tangible, the Italian art of appearing effortless through extreme effort. To understand why someone pays $15,000 for a suit with a shoulder that looks imperfect, you need to understand what machine perfection actually costs. A machine can produce a flawless shoulder in seconds. The sleeve is pressed flat, the seam is aligned to a millimeter, the pad is inserted with mechanical consistency. The result looks, to the untrained eye, immaculate, and it costs almost nothing to produce at scale. This is why the perfectly smooth shoulder is, in the modern luxury market, the cheaper option. It is what you find in mid-tier suits sold at department stores with four-figure price tags. It is what you find on the rack at brands that charge for their name rather than their construction. The houses producing genuine Spalla Camicia work include Kiton, Cesare Attolini, Isaiah Rubinacci, and a small number of surviving ateliers in the Chiaia district of Naples. They cannot speed this process up. The work is done by hand. The judgment required to produce the ripecchia with the right character belongs to craftsmen who have spent decades developing it. Walk through Pitti Uomo in Florence, where these houses occasionally show. Trained eyes can spot the Spalla Camicia from across the room and spot the imitations just as quickly. There are perhaps a few hundred people in the world capable of doing this at the level these houses require. Lineage matters. Mariano Rubinacci is the figure often credited with formalizing the soft Neapolitan approach, taking what had been a working tradition and articulating it as a philosophy. The houses that carry this work today are, in one way or another, working within the world he helped define. Those craftsmen are expensive, their time is finite, The suits they produce start at prices that exclude most of the world's population before the conversation has even begun. What you are paying for, in other words, is not the flaw. You are paying for the impossibility of faking it. The people who understand this are not wearing the Spalla Camicia because they want to be recognized. They are wearing it because they want to be recognized by the right people only. This is the logic of stealth wealth, and it operates on a principle that is almost perfectly inverted from the logic of visible luxury. A logo is a broadcast. It says, I can afford this, and I want you to know it. It is designed to be legible to everyone in the room, including people who have no context for what they're looking at. The Spalla Camicia is something else entirely. It is a signal that is invisible to anyone who has not already earned the knowledge to read it. If you are not aware that a rippled shoulder is a mark of extreme craftsmanship, you will look at it and see a suit that needs pressing. You will feel a vague sense that something is slightly off. That is precisely the point. In the rooms where old money actually operates, not the rooms where new wealth performs, but the rooms where decisions of consequence are made, the signal hierarchy works in reverse. The louder a garment announces itself, the lower it's standing among those who know. The suit that most people would overlook or slightly mistrust is the one that communicates everything to the person who matters. The Spalla Camicia is a membership card with no writing on it. You either know what you are looking at or you do not. And if you do not, the wearer has no interest in explaining it to you. The surviving tradition lives in a 15 square mile radius in southern Italy. Naples has been producing this kind of tailoring for over a century, and the craft has survived industrialization, globalization, and the near total casualization of the modern wardrobe for one reason. The men who want it are willing to pay whatever it costs to have it. The ateliers that produce genuine Neapolitan Spalla Camicia operate largely outside the attention of mainstream fashion media. They do not run advertising campaigns. They do not appear at fashion weeks. They have waiting lists that extend for months or years, and their clients, corporate attorneys, old European money, a particular kind of discreet industrialist, do not discuss them in public. This is a tradition that has survived precisely because it never tried to scale. The moment you attempt to industrialize Spalla Camicia construction, it stops being Spalla Camicia. The craft enforces its own exclusivity by its nature. The same is true of the internal construction. These jackets are built on full canvas, layers of horsehair and linen that are hand pad stitched to the chest piece, shaping themselves to the body over years of wear. Half canvas is the compromise. Fused construction is the factory floor. The Spalla Camicia and the full canvas chest are part of the same philosophy. Nothing that matters can be rushed. The result is an ecosystem that will likely contract rather than grow as the craftsmen who carry this knowledge age. Some of this knowledge is being transmitted to the next generation. Some of it will be lost. The number of people in the world capable of producing a true Spalla Camicia at the highest level is already small, and it is not growing. This too is a signal. The people who understand what they are buying understand that they are buying something that may not be available to buy in 20 years. Modern luxury marketing has conditioned most consumers to associate quality with perfection, with surfaces that are flawless, seams that are invisible, and construction that shows no trace of the human hand that made it. The Spalla Camicia inverts this completely. In the world of the highest level Neapolitan tailoring, perfection is the mark of the machine. The trace of the human hand, the controlled, disciplined imperfection of the repetier, is the mark of mastery. You are not paying to have the error corrected. You are paying for the skill to introduce it with enough precision and intention that it becomes something else entirely. This is a distinction that is almost impossible to communicate to someone who has not already arrived at the threshold of understanding it, which is, again, the point. The Spalla Camicia does not explain itself. It does not come with a certificate of authenticity or a brand name that does the work for you. It sits on the shoulder of a man who chose it deliberately and says nothing to the people who don't know and everything to the people who do. There is a version of dressing that is about being seen. It is loud, legible, and it works for what it is. And then there is a version of dressing that is about something quieter, about belonging to a conversation that most people don't know is happening. The wrinkle at the shoulder is the entrance to that conversation. It costs $15,000. It takes a master craftsman several hours to produce. It looks to the untrained eye like an error. To the people who matter in the rooms where it appears, it is the only thing in the room worth noticing. If you found this useful, you know what to do, and if you didn't, well, that's the point.